Most cities in the United States are dirty places.
I'm gonna say something that nobody knows in our channel.
You were in the Marines?
I signed for the Marines.
Oh,
Can you travel to Cuba?
Can I travel to Cuba?
Let's not talk about coffee in the US. It's a huge building.
Yeah, it's the biggest office building in the USA.
I can film here or they're gonna shoot me or something? It's crazy you can go so close. I'm with you. If there's any problem, it's gonna be on you.
This is the heart of the DoD.
So it's defense.
Yeah, this is the Flight 93 Memorial. You see how it's like kind of discolored where those three pillars are?
Yeah.
Yeah, it hit right there on that section of the building.
Asta e un video cum rar vedeți. Suntem în apropierea orașului Washington, într-un loc foarte, foarte drăguț. Astăzi vom vorbi, nu va fi interviu, știți că noi nu facem interviuri, nu luăm interviuri. Astăzi vorbim cu un om de aici, din Statele Unite, soldat care lucrează la Pentagon, care face parte din cea mai mare forță militară a planetei, o țară care își respectă foarte mult această meserie de soldat și un om care a și fost în România de câteva ori. Deci dacă asta vi s-a părut interesant din titlu, înseamnă că va fi interesant și în vlog, deci nu uitați să vă abonați, să dați like, să distribuiți clipurile mai departe, iar astăzi îl veți cunoaște pe Mike. Bine ați venit la un nou vlog, bine ați venit în Statele Unite.
Pe Ralu vom folosi de cameraman. Ia aici, întoarce. So Mike is there. If you wonder how I end up in a house of an American guy, he has good wine.
And good food.
And good food.
In America we call it charcuterie.
It's gonna be just like a friendly conversation. We know about America from the TV, we know about America from the movies, but that's it.
Yeah.
So first of all, I want to know the first time you've been to Romania.
Shortly after I joined the military in 2007, they told us in basic training, they were like, you're going to be deployed a month after you get to your base. And they were right. I was in the desert a month after I got to my base. So on the way home from there, we had a layover in Bucharest. Yeah, that was my first time in Romania, and they let us actually go into the mall, into the airport mall. And
It's pretty different from what you see here. To break the ice, do you know any word in Romanian?
Shifash.
Okay.
Bună ziua, noapte bună, like Shishpula. 18 years in the military, right?
18 years in the military.
18 years, yeah.
Okay.
Almost done. I lived in Korea for 2 years. I lived in Europe in Germany for 4.5 years.
Wow.
Being in Europe, I traveled all around Europe. Shortly after we started dating, we found out that we're pregnant.
So you met in Germany?
We met actually online on a dating app called POF. You know, we were talking for a little while. So yeah, then we met. It was like two puzzle pieces like falling into place, you know. And we don't have the typical timeline of a normal person. So it's like when you find something that you really like and you really want that to work, you got to hold on to it.
You have to do it.
Adina and I have been together for 7 years. You know, I needed time and everything to get her visa together, to bring her to the States, and, you know, to get the babies. The bureaucratic mess in Germany, like the hand doesn't know what the other hand is doing, the head doesn't know what the feet are doing. Like, I don't know how that government works, but holy crap.
You are married with a Romanian woman?
2017, she wanted to take me home to see her grandparents and her family and everything. So
here's when the fun starts.
Yeah, so we rented a Fiat 550 in Ramstein, right? And she wanted to drive, she didn't want to fly. About 14 hours it took us to get from Ramstein to the Hungarian-Romanian border, right? Then we crossed the Romanian border in the north. So the Romanian, you know, the customs guy, he takes my passport and he's questioning me. He's like, you don't have any stamps. He's like, how can you be in Europe and you don't have any stamps? You know, and I had to explain to him, I'm military, you know, we come here on orders. And he's like, oh, you don't have any stamps, you're military. And I said, oh, but if you want to give me a stamp,
I'll take it.
I want it. That was gonna be my first stamp, you know? So he was gone for like 15, 20 minutes and he came over and he was like, look. He's like, I gave you a stamp. I gave you your first stamp. I was like, yes. Highways disappeared once we got into Romania. And then we ran into weddings and stuff like that going on where they blocked the entire street. It took like 10 more hours to get from the border over to the town of Roman, you know. Every time I come there, they're like, that's the American guy right there. Oh, is that the American guy? Did he just walk past me? We had a little ceremony in the kitchen with wine and we put the rings on each other's fingers. And
what's stuck in your memory from your visit to Romania of 2 weeks in Roman?
Well, not Brasov, but we visited Bran Castle in Transylvania. On our way to Sibiu, we went to the Transfăgărășan. You could see the Carpathian Mountains just getting bigger and bigger, you know, and then you just start going up, 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 and then through the forest. All of Romania is beautiful.
I feel like that we are the only ones that keep hating on Romania, like we, the Romanians.
Her grandfather made borscht de poi. I saw when he, so So the one morning I woke up and I was doing my routine, and her grandfather comes walking, and he has 2 chickens that he just killed, and you know, blood is leaking on the floor, and he's carrying them, and he's like, "Bună dimineața," you know, walking with the. So I was like, all right, so I got some baște poi, and I wasn't used to, like, I was eating and I would pull up a whole rib cage, you know, and I'm like, oh shit, and I would have to peel the meat off of it and take the bones out, and then I'm slurping like the soup, and I would be like.
She took you
with
to
the bones.
She took you to the deep Romania to see the real life.
They have an outhouse, and I've never liked outhouses in my entire life. It wasn't anything against Romania or anything like that. So I hopped in the rental car. I would drive all the way to Rome, and first gas station I see, that was the gas station I used every day to go to have a shit. Yeah. So, and they started to know me. They're like, oh yeah, that's the American, he's coming to shit.
I remember when I was going to my grandmother village, it was around Craiova. She used to have the toilet in the back. She had ducks. And I was so scared to go because somebody told me that they bite.
Oh yeah, I was afraid of the chickens. I was afraid the chickens were gonna jump up and gnash me. And they had the stuff with the cherry in it. What do you call it?
Vizitat.
Vizitat. Yeah. So they pour me a shot, and I drink a shot with grandfather. And they pour me another shot, and I drink a shot with brother, and then they give me another shot. I drink a shot with grandma, and then another shot. And then her brother, he speaks a little bit of English, so he's sitting at the table. They speak more now, so her whole family. So she was translating the whole time, but she was trying to visit with her family too. So I'm trying to figure out what Google Translate with her brother, like trying to figure out what to say,
what's happening,
and then have a conversation with him. And the whole time, like, I'm nervous, and I like to drink a lot when I'm nervous. Right? So I'm pouring more rakia, pouring more. And then I would say, "Do you want some? Do you want some? You're getting a little low." And he'd be like, "No."
No, he was covering the glass.
Nah. And then she came back to the table, and he was like,
Snitch.
Yeah.
I was like,
and she's like, "What are you doing? What are you doing to him?"
I'm nervous. What do you want me to do? But I mean,
needless to say, when I got up from the table, I was like, I don't even remember going back to our bed that night.
Why am I in Romania?
Cool, blackout.
They do it on a traditional way.
Yeah, they did it with the distillery, with the...
They actually say it's pretty healthy after a meal to have it.
They had homemade vino.
Oh yeah.
So
everybody does.
He had the vineyards, so right outside where we slept, he would make the wine, and every day he would put 3 liters of wine on the table.
I think we could do a lot more with the wine. I mean, in every boy or every girl you ask in Romania, when they were young, they were using to go to the vineyards. Yep. Because I was going when I was a child. I was like 7 years old. I was cutting the grapes.
Her grandfather, he does not stop working. He's in his 80s and he does not stop.
That's nice.
Strabunicu.
Strabunicu. Nice.
I can't have conversation in Romanian, but I know keywords.
Keywords.
If I hear somebody talking, I'll be like, oh, I know that word. The last time was 2 years ago, 2023.
Did you notice any difference?
The road leading into Roman now is a highway. That highway cut like hours off of our trip.
We all know in Romania, and this is a fact, the US has the biggest military force in the world. How is it to go there? You can go to every country you want like that? Like me?
So yeah, we have some control over our career. So we have a dream sheet that we fill. For instance, I started out in Georgia. I didn't have a choice. After basic training, I got stationed in Georgia. I was there for 2 years. So you pick about 10 places. So you pick 5 places in the States, and then you pick 5 places overseas. Okay. And then they try to match your preferences on where they select you to go next. I was attached to a reconnaissance aircraft at that time. Basically, the jet did reconnaissance of the battlefield, and it had a canoe on the bottom that could sweep, and we can let troops know on the ground. Talked to one of my best friends. He was like, "Hey, I got orders to Korea," and I said, "I'm never getting out of this place." And he was like, "Just put on your dream sheet that you want Korea, and you'll get Korea." And I was like, "Nah, that won't work." And so I put it on my dream sheet. 2 weeks later, I got orders to Korea. So I spent a year in Songtan, Korea, a short tour hardship in Korea. Because you couldn't bring your family, so that's why it's considered a hardship. Now Songtan or Osan changed, so now you can bring your family over.
But I guess this is just based on the level of
danger
or whatever.
They didn't have a lot of
situation over
there. They didn't have a lot of housing and stuff for us, so they didn't have a lot of housing to support families and stuff. So because of the hardship, you got basic preference, so you could choose where you want to go next. So where I wanted to go next was Langley Air Force Base. It's in the city of Hampton, Virginia. I was part of a network operations squadron there. We did a lot of networking stuff.
For example, let's go to Thailand. You can just buy a ticket, pack your stuff and go to Thailand.
So we all have a certain level of clearance, but that level of clearance can elevate based on where I'm stationed. Based on your level of clearance, then you start notifying embassies. So I have to have approval from an embassy before I can travel to that country. We get all kinds of briefings about, you know, terrorism, threat levels. Even when I went to visit her family, I had to tell them all of her family members' names and their addresses, just in case, you know, something happens.
Yeah, because if something happens with you, you can start conflicts and stuff like that.
I don't know anything, so I don't.
No, I don't want to know it. I don't want to know either. I don't want to know either.
Especially when I was in Europe and I wanted to travel. Every time I wanted to go to Paris, the damn yellow jacket people, and they were like, "Nope, yellow jacket people are setting fires again. You can't visit them."
For example, you go to Italy and you're on holiday with her, and something happens in Italy. It's possible that you get called and like your holiday just finished and you're gonna work on the field.
It has to be really bad. So once we're on leave, we're on leave. So it's very rare that you get recalled from leave unless something really, really bad happens. Military isn't really a lifestyle, what I do. Military is kind of like a job.
What makes you join the military? I mean, I know you're in the US, it's very respected.
I've always wanted to travel. So in school, I would read about all these places like
I can
Paris.
Give you easier options to travel.
But I would always read about Paris and Rome and, you know, things like that. Places that I wanted to go to, Athens, you know, Sparta, you know, I would read about all these places and I would want to go there. But I grew up in a small town outside of Pittsburgh. Family, I grew up pretty poor. My father worked in factories his whole life. My mother, she went back to school. She was a dropout, but she went back to school. She got a really good job after she went back to school. My mother was super intelligent, but we didn't really travel a whole lot. I would just get this anxiety, like, is this what I'm gonna do with my life? You know, it's a very blue collar area where I grew up. Blue collar is the working class, the factory workers, the you know, the ditch diggers, the construction workers. Carnegie Steel and Pittsburgh Glass, Jeanette City Glass.
That's
built
huge companies.
They built the United States, right? Wow. Skyscrapers and everything are made out of Carnegie Steel
and they are from
Jeanette
that
City
place
Glass.
Where you grew up.
Yep. Am I going to be working in these factories? Am I going to be doing the same thing in the same town, in the same small town? A couple of my friends had joined the military. I had always been curious about the military. I was after 9/11, so we were involved in 2 wars at the time. And I know I wanted to do something bigger than my life, but I also wanted to travel. I wanted to see the world. I wanted a quick career. I hated college. Thought it was gonna be all partying and everything, and like what they show on the movies. It was not like that at all. My cousin, he had already been in the military for 4 years, and he calls me up one day and we're talking about it. And I said, "How easy is it?" And he's like, "Oh, super easy. You know, you join the military, go talk to your recruiter." Or I went up to the mall, talked to the recruiter. I told him exactly what I wanted to do. I wanted to work in an air-conditioned office. I wanted to work on computers. He was like, "All right, we're gonna send you to," they call it MEPS, where they give you a full physical and everything. They make sure you're strong and smart and everything to join the military. I passed MEPS, but I didn't pass the colorblind test. We have to take a battery test, right? So I scored super high on that. I had every single job that you could think of, so I didn't pass the colorblind test. They were like, "Okay, let's take these pages away." They left me with a stack of jobs, like 7 jobs, you know. A couple of them were like military intelligence, and one was like fabricating jet parts in like a machine shop. I don't really want to do any of these things. They have you pick jobs that they want you to pick, you know, that they have available. My recruiter calls, he's like, how did the processing go? I said, "It went great." I was like, "But I picked a bunch of jobs I don't like." And I said, "When my job becomes available, give me a call." Yeah, so
and it happened?
2 weeks later, he gives me a call. He's like, "Somebody broke their leg and there's an opening. Do you wanna go to basic training like next week?" So I was like, "Yes, put me on a plane." So then I went to basic training. January 2007. I've done everything that I could probably possibly do.
That's all you have to say.
Basically, I'm cybersecurity. So when you're coming from a small town like me, the military offers school. They'll pay for your school. They'll pay for your health care.
What's the minimum age to join the military?
Minimum age is 18.
Okay, so you can join the military and keep studying.
Yeah, in the military, you have to keep studying. They send you to training. They make sure you're going to school. They make sure that when you get out of the military, whether you serve 3-4 years or whether you serve an entire career, when you get out of the military, you have certifications, you have degrees,
so
you have everything, so you can keep going in your life, you know, because you're not going to wear the uniform forever.
What's the retiring age?
It depends on your rank, but you can retire at 30 years. It might be 22 years now. with my rank. American healthcare is complete shit. It is confusing, it is garbage, right? And then you have these enrollment periods, and if you're suffering from a disease or whatever, and you're like, oh shit, I just got sick right now, I need healthcare. And they're like, oh sorry, the enrollment period starts in January. There's no way that we can get you enrolled for healthcare until January. You're gonna have to pay a penalty. If you don't get healthcare when you're 64, you have to pay a penalty. Like my dad, right? He's 71 years old. He makes $1,300 on his Social Security. He doesn't get a pension because he worked in factories all his life. You pay in your whole life, you earn credits, and then at the end of your life, when you're in your 60, 64, they give you a little bit of that money back.
After you worked, you don't get out with a lot of money, like so you
no,
can
relax. not a blue collar factory job. You don't get out with a lot of money.
Okay.
I pretty much saw what was happening in my hometown and everything, and I decided, like, when I joined the military, like, I'm gonna do a 20-year career at least, because then when I get out, I'll have, you know, a pension, healthcare for the family, education benefits.
So you get help afterward. What's with the myth that people after the military, they just don't get the help they need?
There is all kinds of programs for veterans that help with homeless vets, that help with, you know, healthcare for vets.
One person texted me and said that half of the homeless people in the United States are veterans.
That's false. So back whenever, you know, we had the draft in Vietnam, and people were forced to join the military didn't offer these programs back in the day. So now the military offers all of these programs to help veterans and stuff like that. And now, if you join the military in these modern times, like I told you, you're forced to get certifications. You're forced to go to school. You're forced to learn these jobs.
It's good to mention that it was the only time in history of the United States that you had mandatory, like this
mandatory
draft. It was based on the year you were born. But that's different when there's an emergency situation and when it's voluntary. Like now.
The Department of Defense is the whole military.
Okay.
But we have Coast Guard, we have Marines, we have Navy, we have Air Force, Space Force.
Space Force?
Yeah, Space Force.
What do the guys do? Protect us from aliens.
Yeah, well, so part of the Air Force has broke off, like how the Marines, right? They're a division of the Navy. So we had some bases that were half-space bases, but now those bases have turned into Space Force bases.
Okay.
And they basically do the same mission that AFSpace did, satellite reconnaissance and things like that.
I'm gonna say something that nobody knows in our channel. I was like in yeah.
You were in the Marines?
I signed for the Marines. My mother almost killed me, and the guy who let me sign it.
Yeah.
I don't know how is it here, but in Spain they were coming like when we were like 16, something like that. They were coming to college.
Oh yeah, that's what happened to me too.
And they would come, a Marine come there and show us and talk about the benefits of joining the army, and I was like, I'm in.
They try to recruit right out of high school here too, so a lot of our recruiters will show up to high school and they'll do like competitions with the kids and everything, push-ups and sit-ups.
I mean, that guy looked like God, because he was like dressed all white. I was looking at him like, wow, I want to be that guy. He looked strong and he was speaking perfectly, and I was like, I'm in, brother, let's go.
That's how they get you.
And and my mother was like, she just rolled the documentation and just hit me in the head with it.
Traveling the world is much better. On your own.
On my own. You travel the world too.
Well, I travel in the military, so that's a lot different. So I'm very restricted to the places I go and what I can do and things like that.
The world, it's complicated, but right now I think we're living pretty good times. You can go most of the places. If something happens and they call you, you have to go. And there's no choice on that.
No.
If you have a small kid, if you have a small baby, if your mother is sick.
No, I came back from my latest deployment. She was 2 years old when I last deployed. I was gone for 6 months, and then I had to rebuild my relationship with her once I got back with my daughter.
My father left to Germany, and when he came back, my brother couldn't recognize him.
Yeah.
Because he was so small, and he was like, "Who are you?" After that, my father said, "I won't be leaving again."
Being away from your family is definitely the hardest part of being in the military. It is a hard job. I do make a lot of sacrifices. I had to watch my parents age. They're going through some end-of-life things now. My mother passed away in February, so so my father now is going through, some end-of-life things, so I was away from my family a lot. Every time I came home, they were older. And I feel like an outsider now. When I go back to my hometown.
Yeah, because your life totally
changed.
changed.
Yeah, my life totally changed. It's
and
totally
especially
different.
when you travel abroad so much and the other people don't, you have totally different vision of
exactly,
the
and we call it in the military, we call it fishbowl. The drunk friend is always going to be the drunk friend. The other friend, the loser friend is doing nothing. He's always going to be the loser friend doing nothing.
But you change a lot.
Yeah, but you change. Yeah, definitely. So when I go back, everything is different. But my family is the same. You forgot where you came from.
Yeah, exactly. So you have it in English too?
Yeah.
Oh, I thought it was a Romanian thing.
Yeah.
You're not worried about moving all the time? Because I mean, she will get friends at school, and at some point they can call you like, you live in Washington, you're going to Bangkok.
So unfortunately, if I move someplace that I'm not allowed to take my family, the military will support them at home, but I have to be away from them. Most of our deployments are about 6 months long, unless we get extended. 3 years I'm on a controlled tour. So we're almost done with our first year.
What that means?
So a controlled tour means I'm stuck here. I can't deploy. I can't go TDY.
So your life can change suddenly, like
no.
It's not
so
the normality to
right now,
like
for the next
move.
3 years, I'm here.
Okay.
So I can't
That's
move.
good.
I can't do anything.
You look pretty happy with what you do.
I basically get General's coffee, 2 creams, 1 sugar.
Let's not talk honestly. If you want to have an argument at the end of the video, let's not talk about coffee in the US. That's not coffee. But
by the way, how do you like this American one?
It's very good. I want to know your opinion. Since we arrived here, we made videos in different states. I got a lot of hate because I said that I don't like LA. You in the country know that there are some things that are not working pretty well.
Yeah, the United States is a lot like Europe. So we have 50 states, all governed by different people. The states pretty much run themselves, as long as it doesn't violate the higher constitution. So the Constitution of the United States, the Supreme Court recently overturned Roe versus Wade, abortions federally. So all 50 states, women can get an abortion for whatever reason. No, that was the law.
That was the law. Okay.
But the Supreme Court now overturned Roe versus Wade and sent it down to the states. So now half of the United States says, no, you can't get an abortion. Now half the United States says, yes, you can. Then you have like very poor states that don't produce anything. Most cities in the United States are dirty, shitty places. Some of them are not very good places to go to. They stink. They all have their distinct smells. Like Philadelphia smells like piss. New Orleans, the French Quarter smells like puke and shit. I
said before when I got into the house, I said that if our trip would have started here, I will definitely have a different perspective about everything. First touch in LA, that was rough. Do you think it was bad that at some point I also show people what happens in downtown LA?
No, because you have to show everything. Because if you only show one perspective, then that's fake. And then it would be just like those books that I read when I was a kid, when I said, oh, I want to go to Rome because Rome is beautiful and they have all the monuments. And then I want to go to Athens because Athens is... They were complete shit cities. Like, they don't take care of them. There's garbage everywhere. The roads are shit. There's graffiti everywhere. Some lady trying to sell me flowers. I'm like, I could go pick some flowers. I don't need you to sell me flowers.
That's part of the reality of the city. We like it or not, it's there.
Yeah.
You're going to go out. And you're gonna see it.
And there is absolutely nothing wrong with telling the truth about what you think about a city, because you are a foreigner coming over here, looking at a U.S. city after you think like, oh my God, USA, the streets are paved in gold and blah,
I'm gonna meet Denzel Washington.
Everybody has mansions, you know, and that's what people, you know, some people think that about the USA, right? They think that it's some kind of shiny diamond in the sky, you know, place. But no, we have our problems too, and we have, you know, inner city decay and things like that, you know, so. Like all the countries. You
join the military and you're gonna do office work, you're gonna work at computers or no, or you're going to the field, you will have to do the same preparation and all this stuff or no?
So we do have our in-garrison training and then we have our deployed training. So in garrison we do a different job, and in deployed we might do the same job deployed, but we might do something different. You are military first, so if they put a gun in your hand and they say, go do this.
You have to know to use it.
Yeah, you have to know how to use it. So we do radiological, environmental, chemical, and biological training, where you got to put on the suit and the gas mask and everything and learn how to type with the whole suit on, you know, on a computer, and learn how to shoot your gun, you know, with the gas mask on. You got to, you know, move your head a different way and turn the gun a certain way, you know. We do shooting and everything. We have to learn. We have to qualify on certain weapons and things like that. So basically, whenever you deploy, they'll give you a list of all the training that you need to do for that area. So my last deployment before we left, we had to learn how to build pallets. We had to learn how to recognize cluster bombs. Basically, if you see something sticking out of the ground that's unexploded, you had to learn how to oh crap, that's unexploded ordnance. It's still alive. It's like a firecracker, right?
Yeah.
You don't want to go up to it and
you
stick
have
your
to
face in
disable
it.
it.
Yeah, so you gotta like set up a cordon, and then you can't use your radios a certain amount of meters away because of the transmitter might set it off, you know. And then so yeah, you got to get up to it with a pencil and a piece of paper, and you got to like, oh, what is that? Oh, okay, I know what that is.
I think we're getting a lot of info that you never heard before. Probably you will never get into the front line, but you still have to know how to act in case you get to the front line. Okay.
If you get a bullet wound, I know how to like fix your bullet wound, like stuff some.
Good to know.
Stuff some quick clot in there. Put some pressure on it.
And the last question.
Urmează întrebarea roșie.
What's the most badass part of the military? When you see them come, you just shit your pants. Which one are those?
It's got to be the aircraft. So yeah, the F-22. So I was at an F-22 base for most of my career. The F-22s, every time I see them fly, I still get the chills.
I think we heard something similar, like the ones that just
fire. The fighter jets. Like, if you got into Virginia Beach, they have the F-18 Hornets, you know. And then if you ever get a chance, you could see the Thunderbirds. Those are the F-16s. Okay. They're out in Vegas. You know, the Navy has the Blue Angels. You know, it's basically like Tom Cruise and Top Gun. Like seeing those fly and what they can do and like the maneuvers that they can do. So F-22, it can like hover.
Can stay like that?
Yeah.
Stop?
Just stop and just... And then it can do a backflip and just take off.
How that the people doesn't pass out on the pilot? It's
I
like
don't know.
because the blood is going like...
Yeah, I don't know.
Actually, I was expecting the Pentagon to be like far away in a secluded area, like hidden with a...
Come around that bend and it's like boom, it's right there.
You can just drive around. I mean, you can go to the front gate and
tell them how big it is.
And actually, if you do it through your embassy, you can visit it inside.
So it takes me 1.3 miles to get from my car in the parking lot to my desk to go to work every day.
Do you have aliens in the Pentagon?
No aliens in the Pentagon. But there is, so for tours, they will put signs on doors that say like alien autopsy room. So when the tourists come through and they're like, oh, aliens, that's where the aliens are. You know, you got your Americans and their American shirts and their American sunglasses and everything coming through like, America, you know, and they're like, oh, this is where the aliens are.
You have a question, come here.
Can you travel to Cuba?
Can I travel to Cuba? So Obama opened it up to American tourism and then Trump closed it back down. So we can't travel to Cuba anymore.
You can't travel right now?
No.
But do you mean this like you as an American, you as a military?
Both.
So yeah guys, thank you Mike for everything. It was an amazing conversation. Thanks a lot. We got some insights from the life of a military and life of a guy that went to Romania.
About 4 times. I'll be there again.
In 10 years, Roman will be as big as Washington DC. So see you in the next one. Bye bye.
Maybe a love like ours can lead out its call.